This week's news is like a munchkin cat, short, but also totally worth watching. We don't have many cats, but cyberpunk cities and zombies instead. Almost a decade after the first game, Ruiner 2 returns to the cyberpunk city of Rengkok, a city where corporations control everything, including the rights to your death. If you stop being useful, you are in breach of contract. You just gotta love cyberpunk corpos. But this time, you're not alone. Out there in the concrete maze, you play as a hacker who hijacks powerful fighters and turns them into controllable combat bodies known as shells. And those shells are the core of the new system. Each shell has its own abilities and roles, and you can switch between them instantly in the middle of a fight. The idea is to chain their skills together, creating combinations that a single character could never pull off alone. If you're playing alone, you can use up to 3 shells at once. But who does that anyway, right? Instead, team up with up to 2 players, reducing the number of usable shells to 2, but turning the fun up to 11. The progression systems are designed for fun as well. Shells all have their own skill trees, while you can upgrade your hacker skills separately as well, affecting the entire roster. But we are not talking about 5% straighter aim, although this would probably help. No, skills are designed to alter the combat entirely, on top of the already playstyle defining shells and powerful equipment. There's no release date yet, but we will keep you updated. There are 2 kinds of zombie games. The ones that appear out of nowhere, look far too good to be true, and then crash and burn at release. And the ones that look promising but seem to take their sweet time getting there. But honestly, we prefer the latter because those actually have a fighting chance to be good someday. NAKWON Last Paradise falls exactly into this category. We first talked about it a long time ago, when it still looked more like an ambitious tech demo. Now, almost a year later, the team has made serious progress. But for everyone who wasn't here back in May 2025, here's a quick recap including everything that's new and improved. The game drops players into the city of Seoul, after a global blackout and a failed vaccine attempt turned a zombie outbreak into a full apocalypse. And with the streets now filled with infected, the survivors that remain have to hide in small shelters scattered across the ruins. During nighttime, players leave the safety of their customizable hideouts and head into the city to scavenge. These nighttime runs follow an extraction-style loop. You sneak through abandoned streets, gather supplies, and try to make it back alive. The problem is that zombies aren't the only threat out there, if you chose the PvP mode, which is completely optional. If you do, better keep the bickering quiet because loud fights attract the infected, some of which can even call in entire hordes. And trust us, there will be plenty of clowns trying to make exactly that happen. Last time, it wasn't exactly clear what direction the game was heading in. But with development moving forward, we now have a much clearer picture. In principle, it's quite similar to Arc Raiders, but with a much darker tone and a stronger focus on player interaction, survival, and base building. Embark, we are still waiting for an explorable Speranza. The game is set to release later this year and is currently preparing for its next major test phase. A closed alpha will run from March 11th to 16th on Steam, and you can sign up for it right now. Vegans, brace yourselves. Blizzard apparently thinks Diablo 4 doesn't have nearly enough butcher, and they are about to fix that. But not how you'd expect it. If you're as unlucky as us, you probably didn't even catch a glimpse of the butcher the last time you played. So in Season 12, you don't have to leave it to chance, as you can become the nightmare that usually hunts you. Or doesn't. Either way, fresh season, fresh meat. On March 11th, the Season of Slaughter begins, and its central idea is simple. What if you could turn into the butcher yourself? Through a new questline, players experiment with dangerous rituals that temporarily unleash the demon's power. Once transformed, you gain access to a full set of new abilities. chain hooks to pull in enemies, massive cleaving strikes, and ground slams that send entire packs flying. A bit silly, but hey, we loved playing that guy back in Heroes of the Storm. There are several activities built around that transformation. New slaughterhouses keep you in butcher form for an entire dungeon run, while special shrines during events can trigger the change as well. This even ties into PvP with a butcher domination mode. Season 12 also introduces the killstreak system from previous Diablos. The more enemies you cut down in short succession, the bigger the bonus at the end. There are new bloodied items that also scale with your kill streaks, turning fast and aggressive builds into the most rewarding way to play. And for those who didn't pre-order Lord of Hatred, there is now a limited free trial of the upcoming Paladin class as well, letting players test the Holy Warrior up to level 25. The season also brings crossover cosmetics inspired by Doom: The Dark Ages, which sparked mixed reactions, but hey, at least it's a match made in hell. 7 years after launch, Tom Clancy's The Division 2 is still going strong, with Ubisoft celebrating the franchise's 10th anniversary through a new seasonal update and content roadmap. The highlight is a limited-time realism mode that removes the HUD, minimap, passive healing, and drastically reduces ammo, pushing the game closer to a tactical survival experience. The anniversary season also introduces rotating global events that alter combat and reward players with cosmetics, gear, and returning exotic weapons. Visual improvements for the open worlds in Washington, D.C. and New York City are included as well. Later this year, we will get crossplay and another expansion set in a darker version of Central Park. Apex Legends gets a very ambitious crossover with Mobile Suit Gundam, launching March 10th. The limited-time event transforms the broken moon map into a war zone filled with giant mobile suit racks, new abilities, and a massive beam-powered Buster rifle that can blast through about just anything. The event also introduces a special mode with mech-themed gadgets, airstrike abilities, and dramatic last stand mechanics that can revive players in the middle of a fight. 8 legends get Gundam-inspired skins, including Valkyrie as Wing Gundam Zero, alongside weapon cosmetics and collectible melee heirlooms. The crossover runs until April 14th. Hack-and-slash ARPG Dragonkin The Banished is leaving early access this month after 1 year of updates and testing. The dark fantasy loot hunter sends players into a world overrun by dragon spawn, now also with freshly added online co-op for up to 4 players. They also reworked the endgame hunting system ahead of launch. The full 1.0 release will launch on March 16th, with console versions arriving a few days later. And another game done with baking in early access. Temtem Swarm launches into 1.0 on April 2nd, with new playable creatures, maps, progression systems, and events. The full release also expands the enemy roster, adds new abilities and challenges, and introduces crossplay with console support. And if you're looking for something new to play, the Riftbreaker is free to try this weekend. In this action RPG base builder, you explore a hostile alien planet, harvest resources, build massive bases, and fight off huge creature swarms in a mech suit. Not a Gundam, but still powerful. You can team up with up to 4 players in the campaign or survival mode. And if you end up enjoying it, there's a big discount going on right now as well. But that's it for this week. We wish you tons of fun in co-op with your favorite people, and we'll see you again in the next one.